Good morning, my friends. Welcome to this episode of Blunt Cake. And the Blunt Cake series is where we get blunt. You get really direct to the thingy. This series is really about helping us confront our own programming, our own assumptions, the things lurking in the background that tend to sabotage our well-being, our happiness, our healing, our thriving beyond codependency, draw us back into the seduction, abuse, discard cycles, sabotage ourselves, things like that. So technically there's really not sabotaging ourselves. There's just ways we protect ourselves that don't promote our well-being and happiness long term, but keep us safe in the short term. So there's that too. Alright, so I'm Marshall Burtcher, and if you're new to me, I help codependents rediscover their well-being and their happiness after codependency by helping them restore their safety, sanity, and self, by healing the trauma bond, helping them come to know, love, and live who they are, and create happy, sustainable relationships in their lives. So that's what I do. Before we get started with today's topic, I've got to share this out to the community here on Facebook. So the community is where you can find tools, safety, and guidance in your journey beyond codependency. The link is above on Facebook, below on YouTube. You can Google or Facebook search it as the Thriving Beyond Codependency Community. You can join there. And now I'm going to get this shared out to the community because they're expecting this too. So let's click some buttons and amazing things happen, and Facebook changed things once more. So adventure there makes one less click. So let me know if you're here in the comments. Let me know how you're doing today. We're into April, which is my birthday month. April's a complex month for me. There's like my mother's 33rd death anniversary is tomorrow, so that's a little there, and then birthdays and transitions in life. April is full of lots of interesting things that way. All right, so my friends, there's this thing we deal with in our world called transactional love. A lot of times, especially if we didn't grow up in a home where we were loved for who we were raised with what I call transactional love. Transactional love is this thing that we are given that teaches us that we are lovable for what we do, not for who we are. We're not celebrated because we exist. We're given approval because of what we do and how it makes another person feel. And so a lot of times, because we don't have a lot of contact or experience with real love, we confuse real love with transactional love. And I generally, like I said in the title here, transactional approval is wrapped up in hearts. See, we run into the world and try to earn or prove our worth with other peers. If we've grown up in a family unit where love wasn't understood, so love was attached to performance, worth was attached to performance, and performance means that we behave in such ways that other people approve of, that it pleases them, that it makes them feel a certain way. That would then equal I am lovable, I'm worthy, I'm valuable. That's the transactional issue there. Because transactional love is something we earn. It's something I give something and then they give me love. I do a thing, they give me love. So we're constantly chasing the carrot of love in this dynamic. I have to be pretty clear with ourselves here, because as we grow up and we start to mature out of codependency or out of our own just emotional childhood, which we didn't grow up, out of, we have to start confronting ourselves. Are we treating ourselves with this transactional love? Do I only love me when my life is going good? Do I only love me when other people like me? Do I only love me when I am feeling good? Is that the only time I'm worthy? Am I only worthy when I have the particular, for a lot of people, particular kinds of items or status? Car, particular job, living in a particular place. Is that when love is allowed? Or are we going to give it to ourselves because we exist? See, real love is a really challenging concept because it has nothing to do with earning it. It has nothing to do with proving it. It has everything to do with the fact you exist. That's it. You're worthy of love because you exist. There is no but appended to the worthy. It's there. It's intrinsic. This connects with this other concept called innate value that I teach. Innate value is the idea that I have inherent value, period, and that nobody can raise or lower it, including me. And my job really is to attune to my value and then begin to live from and through it the best I know how. Well, real love is the same way. We are loved for who we are. We're loved because we exist. Do I love myself because I exist? Do I love myself because I'm here right now as I am? Do I love myself even when I'm sad, even when I'm depressed, even when I'm angry or when I'm lonely? Or do I turn against myself and go, no, you're not worthy of love right now? Do I love myself when I feel unworthy of love? Do I give myself the empathy I would give others? Do I treat myself with that respect? These are challenging things because a lot of times, especially in pain, we're seeking it outside of ourselves because we're looking for care. And we need that. That's a completely and utterly valid thing. But are we seeking love and care in order to replace what we're not giving ourselves? Or are we seeking that in addition to what we're giving ourselves? See, there is a difference in the motivator. So if I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling scared, I'm going to ask myself, what do I need here? How do I need to be cared for here? What brings me safety? What brings me nurture and solace? And sometimes that answer is like, I would like some company. I'd like some connection with someone else too. So I'm not displacing the responsibility of my need onto someone else. Instead, I'm inviting someone to add to what I'm contributing to myself. I'm bringing into my world an additional resource that adds to what I'm bringing to me. So it's an inclusive experience. It's real love. Shows up in that dynamic of inclusion, of I matter too, and I'm going to treat and respond to myself the way I would treat and respond to someone I care about, because I care about myself. I choose to actively value myself. So that's where it starts with the self. Now, when it starts with the other, in relationship, we kind of get ourselves in some really interesting pickles, and this also relates to us personally. Transactional approval can also show up as expectations of what other people should be or do or have. Because when they have the be, do, or have we expect them to, we give them approval. Thus, we grant them our quote-unquote love, right? Rather than coming into it and starting to see and understand them for who they are and sense into how that feels for us. Are we able to love them just as they are? Now, love doesn't require commitment. It doesn't even require interaction with the individual. Especially if they're toxic, we don't need to be interacting with them to any large degree. That does not mean that we have to, if we have love for them, get rid of it. It's more like I can respect that I have love for them and I care about their well-being, but I can't interact with them because I care about my well-being first. That's the first priority, me, then them. And if my priority is violated in meeting their priority, then I can't do it. That's self-love. That's self-respect. So when we get into this transactional concept of love, how are we being valued by them? How are we valuing them? Are we valuing them because of the benefits they bring into our world? Are we genuinely interested in who they are, how they feel, and their well-being? Is that what's alive within us? Now, in the way they treat us, do we sense that that's alive within them? Or is it that they only show up when they want something from us. They only give us some breadcrumbs of love or a love bomb here and there to get something from us, and then they're gone. Once they got the benefit, they're out. They got their cookie. Really important signals there. Because real love, it isn't concerned with what it's necessarily getting from the person as long as it's not harming them. Real love is very interested in the experience that person's having. They're interested about caring about them, about understanding them, about holding space with them, about play and intimacy with them. Because we love who they are. And if this is reciprocal, which it ought to be in personal relationships, whether it's a friendship or an intimate relationship, whatever, if they love us and care about us for who we are, then we got a real connection going on. Because then it doesn't really, what happens in life and what happens in the relationship isn't magnified by the transactional nature. Because transactional love brings in a deep fear. It brings in this anxiety. Okay, so when are they going to leave? When's this going to end? Because I can't keep this up. I got to keep chasing. Real love brings a safety and a shelter and a reliability, a strong foundation to the relationship in which it can weather changes between you and the other people involved and between y'all and life. Because we're caring about each other. We're resourcing with each other. We're co-regulating. We're adventuring while celebrating and honoring the individuality we bring to the relationship too. We're building secure bonds and attachments there. Because the love is focused on our well-being and who we are, not what we get from it. And now, in codependency, we are starving for love. We are living in a famine of love. And so when someone throws us a piece of bread, a little breadcrumb there, it's a feast to us. And then they throw us another one, and it's another feast. And then we start to notice, maybe, that they do this in a way to get something from us. They're making us dance a certain way. And there's this paradox in this, because the breadcrumbs they're throwing you are actually from your own table. You've just been taught you're not allowed to be at the table to have the feast. See, real love says, this is your table. Have at it. This is yours. Transactional love usually takes control of something that's intrinsically yours and then feeds it back to you, like your value, like your identity, like your power, your autonomy. It exercises control over you through the appeal of the breadcrumb called approval and the threat of rejection. So it's how we tend to toy with ourselves. It's how we are toyed with in our culture, in marketing, these kind of things. We are manipulated this way. Real love doesn't do this. Real love respects the intrinsic or innate wholeness of the person and their sovereignty, and by that also respects their well-being and their power. And it creates real connection there. This is where we start to feel seen, loved, and valued for who we are, not just what we do. So this is where we have to become very clear with ourselves. Am I in a relationship where I'm seeking approval, where I'm chasing love? Am I hoping somebody will love me so I can love myself? Am I hoping somebody will love me so I don't have to love me? Am I willing to take responsibility for my own self-love and self-respect, self-care? Am I willing to confront myself? Am I being transactional in my relationships? Am I coming into relationships with expectations that people should be a certain way and then getting upset with them when they are not that way? We do this a lot. We get trapped in these things constantly. And this is because of our transactional conditioning. And exiting that means we come into a place of consent and privilege where we realize that person gets to be whoever they choose to be. And I have no business dictating that. My business is in how I interact with them, what I allow them to bring into my yard. But what they do in their yard's their business. So it's really a focus back to self. What do I think and what do I want and what do I feel here in this dynamic with this person? It's not about them changing. It's about me making decisions about what matters to me. That's the key here. We move out of expectation, which is coupled with this idea of entitlement, and we move into desire and asking or gaining consent for the things we're seeking. This allows us to thrive in real love because real love is built on consent. Because relationship is a privilege. We're not entitled to something from someone else. Their resources and sovereignty are their own, just as ours are our own. And real connection requires a respect for that. Because that's where vulnerability comes in. It's like, I am vulnerable here. I would like this with you, but I could get rejected or told no. We ask and we see what happens, and this generates understanding, and it can generate intimacy and bonds, but it also generates honesty and clarity about what is and isn't happening between you and these other individuals. That requires real love, because transactional love gets in there and says, hey, I did this, so why aren't you doing this for me? I gave you this, so where's mine? Becomes this tit for tat, scorekeeping kind of thing. Very dangerous. Very, very corrupting to the trust and vulnerability of the relationship. So as you venture out into your world today, my friends, listen to see, first of all, how you might be treating yourself transactionally. And then see how others might be treating you through a transactional lens, or how you may be treating them. And see what shows up for you there. And then once you know what's there, lean towards real love. Because there's no condemnation. There's no necessity for judgment. You're simply like, oh, I'm doing that thing. Okay. Is that who I want to be? Is this how I want to show up here? Yes or no? No. Oh, if it's yes, then keep going. If it's no, then, well, who do I want to be now? You get to choose, because that's the point. I'm not the one. I have no authority in this. I have no authority other than my own yard, right? But that's the power of it. You get to choose who you want to be and go forward, because you live with the consequences. And so, if where you're at works. If it doesn't, then you get the power to make a different choice. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate you. Remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. Go safely with yourselves out there today, and have a great day.